Hello everybody and Merry Christmas to everyone listening and welcome to today's UCA Radio Christmas special. We've got an excellent lineup today, Christmas for Farnham residents all over, what is the original meaning of Christmas, and to end off the show we have an interview with the one and the only Santa Claus himself. But apart from that we now have Oisin with the Black Friday roundup, so take it away Oisin.
Hello Seth, and good afternoon to everyone who is listening right now. Today is the last Friday of November, which means it's also the famous annual shopping event people have been looking forward to. Black Friday has returned with retailers both in-store and online offering large discounts on items which you couldn't get throughout the year. Offers include the Google Nest Mini, originally being sold for £49 and is now just £18. Shopping giant Amazon selling Apple AirPods Pro from its original price of £239 to £185. According to the PwC, around 60% of UK adults are expected to make purchases today, with the overall spending for today to be around £8.7 billion, an increase of £7.8 billion of money spent in 2019. The average spend per person is expected to be around £280 per person. However, 92% of deals in 2020 were either the same price or were cheaper already in the previous 6 months, and experts have warned deals are likely to be worse this year. Supply issues and staff shortages have meant retailers are struggling to keep up with customer demand. However, they were determined to keep their word with their offers in order to sell as much to the public as they possibly can. Black Friday started in the US in order for retailers to cut prices before Christmas, which is also the theme of today's programme. Over to you, Seth.
All right, well, thank you very much for that Black Friday update there. And yes, of course, if you need to get out there and get some deals, you need to start getting people's Christmas presents, do it today of all the days. But for now, we have something very different. Recently, I got out into Farnham over the weekend to the Christmas Lights event where the main event was, of course, putting the big Christmas tree lights on. But it was so much more than that, and we'll find out right now with this report. Farnham celebrated the arrival of Christmas at the Christmas Lights event. The name is self-explanatory. The Christmas lights turn on over Farnham, with the highlight being the large Christmas tree in Gostrey Meadow. However, there's more to it than just that. With plentiful food and drink along with live performances from local acts, Farnham felt the busiest it had ever felt. I stopped some of the people attending and asked what they had to say about the event and just Christmas in general.
No, we just got here, grabbed some mulled wine, and then we were going to go around to see all the stalls, and that's when you stopped us to have some questions. I definitely think that this type of event definitely brings the Christmas spirit a lot more. Like just seeing everybody out, all the decorations, the lights definitely. I always love like turning on the lights for Christmas seasons. Merry Christmas, that's all I can think of.
Yeah, it's great. It's lovely community atmosphere, vibrant and colourful. It's sort of typical Farnham, I think.
Very good mulled wine.
Yeah.
It's actually delicious. We caught a little bit of the dancing, which was lovely.
Yeah, and then just bumped into a friend from uni actually, who I haven't seen in about 10 years.
Oh, wow.
Who I didn't realise lived in Farnham.
Yeah, it's magical. The lights and everything, all the pubs. We love it. I thought November, I wouldn't be feeling that Christmassy, but I'm well up for it now.
By doing something like this, you suddenly realise it is soon.
No, it's just nice to have these events back, really, isn't it? And to be able to come and do something nice like this and just support local business. So yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, it's just nice to get a bit of normality. The free craft school my son really enjoyed, making like snowflakes or lanterns and things.
It seems busier to me than it did a couple of years ago, but
I think more people have come out because they can now.
yeah, as I get older, I appreciate more cooking, for family and friends, and the whole festivities, putting trees up, bits and pieces. Certainly, as I've got older, I enjoy it more.
It's a lot more about family now, isn't it? I
Yeah.
think than sort of a few years ago. It might have been about presents and what you're getting. It's not now, is it?
It's a little bit.
And when it came to the other things the event offered, Farnhamites definitely had their priorities straight.
We've only just arrived. The beer tent's done well.
We actually only just got here, didn't we? Straight into the drinks queue.
All right.
Yeah. Priorities. You got your priorities straight.
First
right
mulled
there.
wine of the year.
We bought a big pig in blanket roll, didn't we?
Yeah.
I need to hear more about this. What is this big
Right behind
pig?
us, next to the stage, next to the
So it's like a hot
the big
dog,
screen hot dog.
but it's wrapped in bacon.
That sounds amazing. Oh my
There's a
god.
lot of dogs, they're all cute.
Well, what else are you sort of looking around here for at the moment as well, other than the goats?
Honestly, just the goats. I love goats so much. They're like the best. I'd say the food and the drink. What about you, Robert?
Same, I like food. Seeing Santa was good.
Alcohol and Santa aside, though, everyone was there to see the tree lights go on to welcome Christmas to Farnham.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I don't know if that was meant to be the countdown for the tree, but the lights didn't go on, so it was really anticlimactic.
Although the tree lights failing to turn on at the right time was very disappointing, I still had a great sense of excitement from the sense of community that everyone was talking about.
Farnham very strong for community in general.
Everyone, you kind of bump in, you see more people, don't you, when it's somewhere smaller and people are friendly. So yeah, definitely a nice community vibe.
Farnham's nice because they do this type of, they do try to do a lot of community type events, and you can definitely tell that. So it's really appreciated when you can see everybody out enjoying that.
When it snowed last and everybody went to Farnham Park and we were making snowmen and having snowball fights, and that was a real kind of sense of community right there.
Farnham definitely makes an effort at Christmas times and doing things like this, which I don't think a lot of other small towns make quite as much of an effort.
I think it's worth mentioning Farnham isn't your typical town. It's got a real people focus. I think that's quite evident in the events that they put on throughout the year, especially at Christmas.
It was certainly a different feeling at the event this year. With us finally being allowed into such large crowds at Christmas, it felt as if Farnham could have forgotten how to celebrate Christmas in such a large community. But it was definitely good to see that Farnham still get excited and are still active in the community when it comes to Christmas. Well, there you have it, everybody. That's what I got. Excuse me, I'll start again. That's what I got up to over the weekend in the Farnham Christmas Lights, and it was a very nice event. As you can tell from there was all that sense of community. And whilst it was disappointing the lights didn't go on, generally I had fun being out there, and I do regret to admit I did not get one of those giant pigs in blankets as well, unfortunately. So when it comes to Christmas, something that we definitely all look forward to is the gifts that we're given. Whether it's it's the gift of giving or the excitement of receiving, that cherry red coat that you've had your eye on for a while. End of the day, it's always a highlight of each year. And, we went out and we asked the people of Farnham about some of their favourite gifts over the years, over the Christmases that they've had over the years.
Asking for a Screwball Scramble marble run toy when I was a kid, and asking for it sort of every year. And then finally, one year, I got it, except that I came downstairs to find my brother playing with it before I'd had a chance to, and I think he trod on it and broke it.
Sorry, that's so uncalled for. That's just, that's like pure sibling behaviour, but that is uncalled for.
Older brother, just taking my toy, yeah.
Well, see, I'm the older brother. I'd never do anything like that. I think that's too cruel even for my level, But yeah.
I mean, Star Wars toys, easy, yeah, no brainer, and that's from childhood and.
For his 44th birthday,
now.
we gave him a giant walking AT-AT.
Oh.
So that's a Christmas tradition most people don't have. A 44-year-old man still getting Star Wars Lego.
I think I prefer giving gifts than having them. But no, I literally cannot remember. Maybe a duvet. I got a really nice duvet a couple of years ago, and it was a phenomenal duvet.
When you say duvet, was it like the pattern on it, or like what was so special about the duvet?
Like just the warmth. It was so thick. One of those things that you'd never buy for yourself because it's just too expensive, and it was a great duvet.
When I was younger, I got an acoustic guitar for Christmas. Never really learnt how to play it, but spent hours on it trying to pick up, but never become famous. But I would say the acoustic guitar was definitely one of my favourites.
Encyclopedia.
Oh really? Okay.
Yes, I had an encyclopedia and I still got it now after all these years. 50 years, still got it. I still look at the encyclopedia and I read and everything, magazines now and I paint and colour.
Well, some interesting gifts from people there from over the years, and I've got to say, I definitely relate to the guy who got the Lego 8080. I can see myself doing that in 30 years. But right now, we've got this next segment, which is about the whole, gift exchanging, which has changed for us now that, we're older and much more mature as students. And, I think it's fair to say we're no longer looking for that brand new shiny Transformer or a marble set. We're looking for something that's a bit more mature, maybe a coat or a duvet, an entire duvet cover as someone put there. But, I find myself this year asking for, a new bag so I can go around uni. But apart from that, we've now got, we've got Jack and Charles in the studio. What do the two of you think in regards to this sort of, I guess we dub it adult Christmas now?
Well, I personally, it really depends on what you're into. I guess when it comes to getting like childish gifts, since you said that no one asked for stuff like Transformers or Marvel stuff. Speak for yourself. I don't go for those specifically, but I do go for things that are probably a bit more child-esque. I mean, I still have some video games for Christmas, and they're not really, well, some are, but, some aren't, most of them aren't really, like, the most adult thing in the world.
I mean, I still find myself asking for... I love Transformers personally, so I still find myself asking for like gifts like that. But largely this year, I find myself focusing on a few more like sort of adult gifts, because I realise, I need some of this stuff. Christmas is a good time to ask for it. And what I mean, Charles, what have you got to say about the sort of adult Christmas idea that we've created?
Well, I've been giving a bit of thought to this, and I think that the trick with giving a present is to give someone a present, something that they want or they need, but they don't know that they want. And funnily enough, one of the sort of most thoughtful presents that I've received in recent years, this is really going to sound ridiculous. One of my students gave me an adapter to enable me to plug headphones into the USB-C socket on my phone. And what was kind of nice about that, even though it's not an expensive gift, obviously, is that she'd noticed that I didn't have one and that I needed one. And I think that's always really nice when you get when you're a child, you ask for a load of things. You say, I want a train set, I want Transformers, whatever it is. When you're adult, it's kind of nice to be given something without realising that you needed it. Having said that, bit of a caveat to that. My wife did one year give me a nose and ear hair trimmer. And I have to say that's the sort of gift that maybe I needed, but I don't think I needed to be told that I needed it at Christmas.
I mean, yeah, definitely. That's kind of a sort of, we say subtle hint, not entirely a subtle hint, unfortunately.
Nothing subtle about it.
Oh, no, yeah, definitely not. So I think something that's worth sort of asking as well is like, what do you think changes about Christmas as you get older? Because, of course, things change. You might become more family-orientated. Of course, your family, but you're moving away from home. But kind of in terms of this gift exchanging, what do you think changes about Christmas as we get older?
Well, for me, it's kind of gone from the joy of, I'm getting free stuff as a little kid, to the joy of, I'm still getting free stuff, which is obviously, you're never going to turn down free stuff. But it's more, I'm excited to see my family again, just in general, because it's not that I never see them, especially on my dad's side, but on my mum's side, it's one of the rare chances where we actually get everyone together. And even on my dad's side, it's one of those chances where we get as many people as we can, obviously, since they're all over the world, we get them as many as we can, all together, and it's nice. Don't know if it'll be any different this year, since my relatives, some relatives are going elsewhere at the moment, so it might be a couple less people, but it's nice to just have time with the family. It's, like you said, it's a lot more family-orientated for me, but I do still like giving and receiving gifts. It's nice.
Definitely. And, I think, would you say, Charles, that, at the end of the day, it's family that makes Christmas what it is? Could you say that?
It's funny Jack said that, because actually what I was going to say was that I think one of the big things about this idea of an adult Christmas is the sudden realisation that you don't have to spend Christmas with your family. And there's no law that says you have to spend Christmas with your family. And I remember, in my early 20s, a friend of mine invited me on a skiing holiday over Christmas. And, so I didn't see my family that year. And there was a Christmas I spent with a girlfriend in my 20s. And there was a couple of Christmases I spent with my grandmother who was in a nursing home, who couldn't move out of the nursing home. So strangely enough, I think actually kind of one of the interesting processes is when you decide, okay, I'm not going to spend Christmas with my family. Of course, what I never really thought about was how my mum and dad felt about that. And of course, now I am a dad. I'm probably actually dreading that moment that one of my children isn't there for Christmas. It'll kind of, the family will be kind of incomplete when that happens. But I have to say that was something that never occurred to me when I was in my 20s.
Well, this definitely took a cheery turn, didn't it? But no, it's the point we're
making. It took
an
adult turn, Seth.
We're talking about adult Christmas. It's taken an adult turn because now it's not just about the gift giving. It is largely about the family. And this year, this is my sort of first of course, I've moved away from home. I'm going to go home for Christmas, of course, because it's like an hour on the train. But it's more the fact I'm away during all of this. They're probably, it occurred to me the other day, they're going to put the Christmas tree up without me probably, which I used to love doing. I was always the one who was given the task of putting the star on top of the tree. This year, I'm not going to get to do that. I'm not going to be able to see my cats constantly trying to eat the tree like they usually do. But that's just how it is now. And, I'm fine with that because, end of the day, it's, Christmas is about creating different memories all over the place here and there. So, yeah.
Well, you see, we didn't have that problem because my dad didn't put the decorations up until Christmas Eve. that was one of his kind of strong Christmas traditions, that the right time to put the decorations up was Christmas Eve, not any earlier than that.
I mean, everyone's got their ways, their methods. And I think, we've got a pretty decent, I think we've definitely discussed that enough there. So thank you very much for that there, guys. Thank you for coming in for that. And I do just want to draw back to Charles's talk of the tradition there about this, the tree going up. Because up next, we've got a kind of clip from when we've also been out about the Christmas traditions that people in Farnham celebrate. So here we are about the traditions in Farnham.
Christmas is famously an occasion for spending time with the people you're closest to, and what's interesting is how everyone has their own way of spending the festive holiday. We spoke to a few people to find out what they get up to during the Christmas season.
I don't have children, but my nephews and nieces, I think, have more traditional stockings by the fire.
All right, okay.
Smaller. Our Father Christmas maybe didn't like wrapping, so hence the pillowcases just shoved in there.
He's just trying to keep the budget down.
Yeah. Interested in, saving, not using up too much wrapping paper unnecessarily.
That's a pretty good thing to work with as well. Yeah, eco-friendly.
We always have cherry bakewells for Christmas. Which is a really weird thing because that is not necessarily a Christmas treat, but my whole family, it's like a running gag that we do this weird thing and have cherry bakewells for pudding. I just think Mum made them really well one year, and now it's like it's a tradition. Every year everyone has cherry bakewells.
So I love that. That's brilliant.
It's a bit odd, but they taste great.
Anything for you? Any sort of tradition, or?
I mean, I'm kind of on board with the cherry bakewells as well. I'd sort of pile in
You
with
tend to drink alcohol towards Christmas,
yeah,
don't
that
you?
does happen. Yeah.
I mean, to be there, I might do the same this year. I don't know, but yeah.
Probably more whiskey than the rest of the year. So,
simple whiskey. That's like it's proper class. That one.
Yeah.
I think my dad will probably crack one open when I'm down. So yeah.
We drink a lot of port with your mum, don't we?
A lot of port at Christmas.
Yeah.
There's a whole like port and cheese thing we do in our family. That's Easter though, but we do like a port and cheese sort of thing. That's really good. Yeah. I was like, I think just general port and cheese. It's just it's sort of quite a good traditional event sort of. Yeah.
No, I think we're pretty average, to be honest. We normally have a get together and play board games, but I think that's pretty normal, to be honest. We don't do anything special.
Is there like a set board game you usually play every year, or?
Yeah, we like the game Pit.
I
don't know if you've ever heard of it.
No.
It gets very aggressive. There's lots of shouting, screaming sometimes, getting very angry with each other.
I mean, isn't that what Christmas is?
It's like a
about,
trading
though?
game, yeah, and it's quite good. We always play that at Christmas, so that's probably our strangest tradition. But it's quite average, so.
Not really, no. My mum didn't have a lot of money, and we just had Christmas indoors. Always had a Christmas tree and some presents there.
I mean, it's still a nice Christmas scene though, regardless. Like of course, Christmas tree presents. Yeah,
and we had a dog and a cat and rabbits.
I mean, no, pets always make Christmas better.
That's
though.
right. Yes,
definitely. I've got 2 cats myself, and they try to eat the Christmas tree because they're idiots. But
you got her now.
Aye, she's very.
Yes, she's free.
Bless. Well, there we go, everybody. That's the traditions of people at Christmas in Farnham. So up next, we now have somebody, we've got Oisin in the studio, who's going to talk to us about, how he deals with Christmas at, that time of year for somebody who doesn't celebrate Christmas. So Oisin, take it away.
Thank you, Seth. So there are, of course, people in the world like me who don't celebrate Christmas, and it could be either for, religious or cultural reasons. Here's a man who explains why he has stopped celebrating Christmas.
When I was younger, coming from a big family, we used to Christmas used to be a big time, and the family Christmases years ago seemed to be a lot more genuine. But as I've got older, it doesn't happen anymore for me. So I don't celebrate it anymore. I think it's just an age thing, and I don't have any kids of my own. So I've just got out the trend of doing it really, and plus I find it a bit too commercial nowadays.
So what's interesting is that even though people like me don't celebrate Christmas itself, the fact that it's literally a national holiday, that's what makes it so apparent in our lives. I do have my own religious festivals and family gatherings throughout the year, but even for a Muslim like me who's living in Britain, Christmas is literally the time to, get together because everyone is free and your cousins and everyone's available to meet up and have dinner. Obviously, we do have our own, festivals throughout the year, but this is the main one where nationally everyone can come together in one place, and this is easier for us, as a whole. So obviously, during Christmas, we either do stuff like, meet up with our cousins, or we even have our own dinner, without trying to make any relation to the Christmas tradition in any way. So, like I said before, Christmas is just, generally hard to avoid for a child in our society. Recently, we did manage to speak to Julia Lansell, who works at UCA, and she's also a pagan. And she talked about how she tries to follow her own path and celebrate traditional and ancient events alone and with a small group of like-minded people. But she does still celebrate Christmas with her child.
I mean, there we go, celebrating Christmas around, not celebrating Christmas, what I'm on about, being around at the time of Christmas where you don't celebrate Christmas. And, it's interesting, it's a very interesting topic to discuss. And as you said, as a kid, being around this world where Christmas is a big thing, but you don't celebrate it, it's definitely quite an interesting one. But, thank you very much for that, Oisin. So we've also, throughout the show, we've had sprinklings of, the favourite Christmas gifts in Farnham, traditions in Farnham. But now we also have another one of those where it's the Christmas memories. And, you never know what those Christmas memories could be. It could be the, almighty row you had way back in 2005. It could also be the time that your teenage self misjudged how much you could drink on the evening. So we're just going to go through it and see what, what people remember about their Christmases in Farnham.
Oh, it's got to be the stockings. Waking up, our Father Christmas put our stockings on the end of our beds in pillowcases. And so waking up and moving the things with your feet and feeling them with your feet and hearing this rustle and knowing that he'd been my childhood memory, yeah.
Over all the Christmases I've had, for us, well, I can't answer for you. For me, it would be the music. Every Christmas, it's all about the music. And that's because we are musicians. So life gets pretty busy towards Christmas. Gigs start picking up and you get these very special occasions. And so I'd say that that's my favourite thing generally from Christmas. Favourite thing ever from Christmas.
Present.
The presents. There we go.
Or just hanging out with family, I suppose. It's always a really nice thing to get together. Yeah, probably a bit of a cliche, but
It's probably just the food. I like Christmas food, so when we all get together and have a Christmas dinner, that's probably it. No specific memory, but the memories of dinners, I guess.
Do you have a favourite moment from Christmas?
When my mum and dad were alive, I lived in Shelford. We had a nice Christmas then, with Christmas decorations and toys and that. Yeah.
And was it like a fairly big Christmas or a sort of small family?
No, just my mum and dad and my brother and me.
So that's quite a nice little focused family sort of thing, though, isn't it? The nice little scene.
I had aunties and uncles that lived down the road, in Shelford.
I mean, there you have it, everybody. I mean, of course, everyone's got their own traditions. They celebrate differently. But at the same time, you kind of lead yourself to ask the question, what is the original meaning of Christmas? Because, of course, everyone's doing these different things. But is the original meaning of Christmas still there? And what is the original meaning of Christmas? And to discuss this with me, I've got Jack in the studio with me again. So hello again, Jack.
Hello again.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm doing great. I hope you're doing well yourself.
I'm doing all fine, yeah, just sitting here at the moment. So, this sort of discussion about the original meaning of Christmas, I'll just ask straight out, do you think the original meaning of Christmas has been lost? And, what would you say even is the original meaning of Christmas at the same time?
It really depends on how you define, like you said, the original meaning of Christmas. If you mean it's pagan origins, which I'm a little less knowledgeable about, I would say it depends. It's the same with the Christian origins. It depends, especially on where you are, because every year when it comes around to Christmas time, my mum, very religious, not like Bible basher kind of religious, but she's a Christian, and she's very, she reminds us every year, never forget the true meaning of Christmas, like baby Jesus being born and all that. So she's very consolidated on the meaning to her is celebrating the birth of baby Jesus and all that.
And of course it differs between each household and everything. In my household, of course, my dad's parents were quite religious. They were, I think they were very religious. I mean, of course they're religious. And my grandpa was a pastor. So but but in my house now we celebrate it as just sort of a family thing. We don't really do anything religious related or anything. But and of course Christmas means to me family. But at that same sort of moment as well, does Christmas, have to have an original meaning to mean something to you, do you think? Or
I would say it depends on the person, really. If you truly believe that Christmas makes you feel better knowing that you're celebrating the birth of your religious figure, or even if it's just you're celebrating the family coming together, saying, oh, it was God's blessing that we all came together because of he died or all that, then I think that's absolutely fine. Christmas means whatever it means to you, and it's the same with religion. Religion can mean whatever it means to you, kind of thing.
And yeah, you know, you can interpret it whatever way you want, but end of the day, as long as, you know, everybody's celebrating Christmas in their own way, they're not interrupting anyone else's methods, and they're just letting them celebrate it as they see fit. But, you know, you also think as well, I'll ask you, do you think that the original meaning can still be used in some form today? Because, of course, back then, people, you know, we're talking like Victorian, they sort of definitely celebrated it as the sort of birth of Jesus, or, you know, when much more times where, you know, Christianity was very, very big, like everywhere. They, of course, celebrated that as the birth of Jesus. But now everyone celebrates it in their own ways, own methods all over the world. But do you still think that the sort of like this concept of original meaning can still be used in some form today?
I do, actually. Once again, it's person dependent, but if you think the best way to celebrate Christmas is like using the original traditions of it, then I see no reason why not to. I mean, you can even... I don't know a lot about other religions, but I know that you probably can, like, theoretically alter aspects of the story to, like, make it fit your religion if need be. So if you want to celebrate the birth of the Jewish God, for example, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah, I mean, of course, you know, Jews don't celebrate Christmas. They have
Hanukkah. They have their own little thing.
Yeah, and they've got Hanukkah. I've got a Jewish friend in Argentina, and, you know, talking to them as well, it's just like, you know, they say, I asked her the other day, because I was curious when we were planning all of this, I said to them, what do you do around Christmas? And she said to me, of course we don't celebrate it in the sort of like, you know, Christian religious way, because we've got our own traditions. But then they still do the whole trees, they do the presents, because they just enjoy that part, and to them, Christmas is also just about family, but also giving each other gifts and celebrating each other. And you know, I think that's wonderful. Like,
oh, completely, yeah.
And it's just, you know, you ask yourself this question: what is the original meaning? But I think at the same, you know, there's of course the original meaning. If you want to go all the way back to pagan, of course, and then you know, there's the Christian meaning of the birth of baby Jesus, all of this and that. But in my head, I think when it comes to the original meaning, there is an original meaning, but largely I think the meaning is just about family. And whether you agree with that, I mean, do you agree with that?
I mean, you could interpret the star and gathering everyone together in the manger as a consolidation of a family of some kind. So.
That's a good point, actually. I hadn't even thought about that. But I think that's all the time we sort of got for this little segment. So, yeah, again, Jack, thank you very much for coming into the studio to discuss.
Problem.
So today we have a very special interview with a very special guest. I would like to welcome onto the show. We have here with us right now. We have the Father Christmas, Santa Claus.
Yes, sir, indeed. Ho, ho, ho. I'm talking to you here from the North Pole, and such a wonderful thing to hear your voice. And I'm delighted that we can have this opportunity to speak in this, strange times. You know, it's very strange times for the elves and for the reindeers and for all the children and the people in general. But hopefully you're all well. So... good day, everybody.
That's a very heartwarming welcome from Santa there. And, you know, as he says, it is very confusing times, but still we can keep the Christmas spirit, and we're definitely keeping it. So to start things off nicely, I just want to ask you, you know, I mean, how does it feel to, you know, have your job? You are the only person with this job in the world. How does it feel with this responsibility and all of that?
Oh, that's a wonderful question to ask. And you know that it's absolutely wonderful to be such a privileged person, and particularly at this time of year. Christmas time is such a wonderful time for all the children and all the families all over the world, you know, and we get the opportunity to travel to so many different countries. We have this magic where we can be in so many places in such a short time. Our reindeers are so precise, they're so trained, and of course Rudolph with his big magic nose, my God, he guides my sleigh at night, you know, and we get to see, so many wonderful children. We get to visit so many wonderful places, and not alone that, but we also get to see the hospitals where we have the sick children and we have the sick people. We get to see all the countries where we have all the different nationalities. Oh, indeed, yes. It's a privilege. It's an absolute privilege to be Santa Claus, you know, and to be able to help so many wonderful people.
And I'm glad to hear that, because it's of course it's, you know, interesting times right now, and you know the sort of thing I think we're definitely going to need is this Christmas cheer, and you know it's I'm glad to hear that Santa Claus is definitely, you know, keeping it, and that he's, you know, it's all around the world as well. It's not just here in the UK, but it's everywhere, and you know, up at the North Pole as well, of course, because you know you're there. And the so sort of another question I have as well is, I mean, you might have already answered this just there, sort of, but you know, what does Christmas mean to you? Because of course it's your time of year to do the job, but does Christmas mean more than just your job to you?
Christmas means so much. It's not so much what it means to me, but what it means that I can do for all the other people. You know, Christmas is a tremendous time of the year when we get an opportunity to be families when we get the opportunity where people that have walked all over the world come together and celebrate that one special time of year. And of course we celebrate the formation of what we call the Nativity, St. Joseph, St. Mary and the baby in the crib. You know, it's all such a wonderful time, and I think Christmas means so much to everybody that it isn't just one person alone, but Christmas is that time of year that brings everybody to the table where we sit down and we laugh and we cheer and we chat and we put all the sorrows to one side, just for a short while maybe. We can't forget all the sorrows, but certainly we put them aside for one time and we have that wonderful minute of cheer called Christmas Day.
I mean, those are some lovely words right there. You've definitely, you know, of course, you definitely know what the meaning of Christmas is and what it means to people. And, you know, I'm glad to hear that, you know, Christmas to you isn't just a job. It is actually what Christmas is, which is wonderful to hear. But the kind of cycling back to this sort of job idea, you know, I've just got a few sort of technical questions because I'm nosy like that. But the this might be, you know, trade secrets. You might not be able to reveal them, but I've always wanted to know, how do you know, like, who wants what gift and, like, you know, whether they've been naughty or nice, you know, where they stand on the list? Or yeah, as I say, are those trade secrets, or can you sort of reveal it?
Well, you probably know about all my little wonderful friends called the elves on the shelf.
Oh, yeah.
No.
We used to have one of them in our house, yeah.
Yes. You see, long before the Christmas period comes, we do what we call reindeer training, where we go to all these different countries and visit so many houses. But of course, you can't see us because we're magical. But what we do is leave our little elves on the shelves in all the wonderful houses that we know we're going to visit. So the elves on the shelves are very, very good. They're very secretive, and they can read all the lists. They collect all the lists. And of course, what do? When we collect all the elves on the shelves, they come back to the North Pole with us, and we have hundreds, and I mean hundreds of elves working on all the presents. You hear it all the time: hammer, hammer, bang, bang, saw, saw, let's go. Hammer, hammer, bang, bang, saw, saw, let's go. Making all the wonderful presents. So the secret of how we can achieve that is by our magical elves on the shelf.
Well, I mean, you know, there's nothing wrong with a bit of, you know, using the magic in the workplace. I'm glad that, you know, you've been able to reveal that to me because, of course, you know, I'm glad to hear that, you know, you've got these methods and that they've tested and proved, and, you know, it's a reliable thing as well. And a sort of another question I have as well is, how do you get, like, all of these presents delivered in one evening of, like, one day? How do you manage to do that?
Well, you see, we have this way. And we have got this wonderful big sleigh. And this sleigh, it's faster than the supersonic jet at times. And it's got a big cargo area. And what we can do is we can fill that magic sleigh with so many presents. But when we're really stuck for room, it's like a train of sleighs. And that's why we need so many Rudolphs. And that's why we have all the reindeers. We have Rudolph at the front, and then we have Dancer and Prancer, Vixen, and all the boys, and they tow along. So basically what we do is we can look at all the presents, and we can look at where we're going to stop first, and every sleigh that we pull behind us, we might have 5 or 6 sleighs, but every sleigh would have the presents for that particular country we would go to. And then because we have supersonic speed in our sleigh, if we do have to nip back to the workshop in the North Pole, we can be back and forth within a blink of an eye.
I mean, that's very impressive to hear about. And I like the sound of it, you know, talking about it's quite like, you know, very, you know, there's lots of technical sides to it. And I like it because there's, you know, earlier you were talking about Elf on the Shelf. You've got this mix of magic, but also mixed in with this sort of like, you know, modern day sort of stuff. So, you're embracing all the practices you can to make sure that everyone has the correct Christmas delivered to them, which is just wonderful to hear about. And I mean, slight other thing as well. How does it feel to travel at that speed? Because that must be quite interesting.
Well, you know, I suppose after so many years, it's just like a part of something we do. We prepare for it. We do lots of training. That's why we can only do it once a year. We are training for maybe 364 days a year to make that one day, the 365th day, so special. It's like astronauts going into space. It's like people swimming in the water. We train and we get our breathing right. And of course, the reindeers, we've got to feed them specifically so much food because the energy they require to zip through the sky at such a speed, it's just unbelievable. But it's all down to training and, of course, planning. We plan the route and we plan what we're going to take with us. And, of course, we have to have a little stopover every now and again. But it's all down to preparation. And preparation and planning make for the perfect Christmas Day and the perfect delivery to every house and every child. And, of course, getting that present on time and the right present.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you've definitely got this down to reps here with this sort of training and all of that. And, it sounds very professional and official, which we just love to hear. And I have reason to believe that also during this training as well, you're also you're somewhere, you're at Santaland, talking to some of the people there as well. And, talking to some of the kids and, making their day special as well.
Oh, yeah. So up in the North Pole, we have such a different climate, it's very cold, so we have to dress up. That's why we have to wear the big red and woolly jerseys, because, oh boy, it's so cold, from time to time. You've got to be so careful when you're meeting people up there. Shaking hands can become difficult because your hands could freeze together. This is why we have to keep moving. This is why you never see the elves sitting down. So when they sleep at night, they all sleep in different turns and they all sleep by the fire. It's like my own Santa house. I have to have that nice and warm. So, and meeting all the people up in Santaland, we even have our own language called Newfoundlandese. We don't speak Chinese and we don't speak Japanese, but we do speak Newfoundlandese, which is the language of the Santaland,
Yeah, and I believe there's also a Santaland in Ireland as well, isn't there? That's sort of like where I've heard that you kind of, do the majority of your work as well.
Well, as it transpires, this very month, we are spending a lot of time in a town in Ireland called Newcastle West. And we have some very, very busy elves who have been extremely busy building this wonderful Christmas village for us in preparation for arrival. And we're actually due to arrive this weekend, And I've been shown some of these long distance photographs of where we're going to go. And yes, we're going to be very busy in Ireland, possibly because we have some very, very good friends there. And they have been very, very busy. So yes, indeed, we are going to be busy in Ireland for the next couple of 3-4 weeks maybe. And this town of Newcastle West, County Limerick, that's going to be a place to visit. Yes, indeed.
I mean, I'm glad. I'm glad to hear that you're getting out there and doing this as well during all of this training. And of course, it's the start of December next week. Your time's going to be taken up a lot. Your time's going to be taken up a lot, and you're going to be preparing an awful lot. But I think that's just about all the time we've got. So thank you very much for this again. Coming onto the air. Thank you very much for that. Have you got any short little final things to say just before we end it off here?
Well, we have a great saying for all the children up in the North Pole, and it goes something like this, because obviously we say it in Newfoundlandese, but the translation to English will be something like this. When you think of Christmas Eve night and you're expecting your Christmas Day and you say, early to bed, early to rise, makes way for a great big Christmas Day Santa surprise.
And well, there we have it, everyone. As long as you get to bed on time, we've got that great big Santa surprise on Christmas Day. So that's that's wonderful. So yet again, thank you very much for that. And as I say before, you've been listening to UCA Radio, and this has been our interview with Santa. So thank you very much again, Santa. And we'll catch you next time with a completely different interview. So thank you very much, everyone, and goodbye.
And ho 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 from the North Pole.
And there we have it, everyone. Well, there we go. An interview with Santa. That was, very fun to do. And we got the Santa Claus in as well, of all the people. I think that's a pretty high-end celebrity guest to have. To kind of begin rounding us off into the end of it now, we have Jack, who's going to update us with some of the Farnham Christmas events that are going on at the moment. So, Jack, the stage is all yours.
So, there have been many events going on around Farnham. As Seth has mentioned recently, there have been the light show. As you've noticed, there are all the pretty lights all around Farnham that have recently been lit up. There's something happening down at the Pottery Club, with a bunch of, you're able to make your own little pottery Santa snowmen, all that kind of stuff. And along with the create a Christmas ornament thing happening down at the village hall.
Is that everything there is, or is there anything else?
Yeah, that's really it.
I mean, there we go. We've got lots of arts and crafts going on there, doing it yourself. So thank you very much for the update with that there, Jack.